This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday as we welcome you into Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network, Sirius XM channel 158. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you, holding it down for the next 2 hours. We're live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Hope everybody had a great holiday weekend. The NFL certainly delivered yesterday.
It did kind of, right? Yeah, like the last couple of games were good.
Unexpectedly so.
Yeah, the morning window was okay. I thought, oddly enough, New Orleans, Tennessee was one of the better morning window games. Buffalo and Philadelphia, despite not really having stakes, was absolutely fantastic going down to the wire. And your game last night as well had a lot of thrills to it. So, yeah, I guess for the most part it did deliver now that I think about it a little bit more.
Yeah, it was a sneaky good day considering going into the day how much I was like, this is going to be awful. Yeah. I actually quite enjoyed myself. But we'll get a lot of reaction to what transpired yesterday, push it forward into Week 18 and how things might go on. But we do have one game here real quickly that's actually about to get underway in college football. The J-Lab Birmingham Bowl. Georgia Southern and App State going head-to-head. These two actually just played each other, JVT, in early November. Georgia Southern, won 25-23 in Boone. The only reason we're getting a repeat is because there were all these other bowl opt-outs. So App State, despite being a 5-win team, finds themselves in this game. The Eagles, big favorites to get their first bowl win under Clay Helton, 0-3 to this point so far. And we've seen lots of line movement in this game. Opened at the beginning of the month, Georgia Southern -2.5, steadily bet up. Yep. We're at 10 is going to be that closing consensus number. Still won 9.5 out there at FanDuel and ESPN Bet, but that is about it.
I mean, the real story for me here is going to be the total. Is any defense going to be played today?
I don't think so.
I've been really looking forward to this and expecting that maybe we're going to get a little bit of a shootout, and it seems like that's going to be the case. We saw 59.5 at the open. We're down in some spots to 57.5. Overall, for both teams, App State comes into this thing 110th in terms of defensive efficiency against the pass. And you get Georgia Southern, who is a top 50 team in that regard. And so the other side of it is App State's offense has been pretty middle of the pack, but for the level of team they are, they've been great. This is one of the worst defenses in the country in Georgia Southern. Yep. So I would expect that you get some sort of a shootout and a back-and-forth duel akin to what we saw on Sunday Night Football, except at a higher level, but we'll see if that's the case as we're getting started.
It's just a matter of what we can get from the quarterback position at App, because a big part of this line movement has been who's not playing for them. And they're already like a bad team. I don't want to say bad, but ended the season on a bad run, right? Yes. They lose 5 of 6 down the stretch. But A.J. Swan, who was their starter to begin the season and played the first meeting with App, is in the played the first meeting with Georgia Southern, is in the portal. J.J. Cole, who took over the job and ended the season, including starting the last 3 games, he is gone as well. So even though the Georgia Southern defense is really bad, will they be able to take advantage? I don't know. Hopefully so, though, because I'm with you on this total. It's a bad unit. And then the defense on their side in terms of portal opt-outs, players that aren't going to go, down a few key defensive backs, including what appears to be their lead tackler, DJ Banks, against a Georgia Southern pass game that's really capable. So I would actually target, if anything, before kickoff here, maybe a Georgia Southern team total could be the way to go. Sure. I was looking at our VSiN.com breakdown from Adam Burke earlier this morning when this was a 7-point spread yesterday, because again, like we've just seen this thing move wholly in favor of Georgia Southern. He laid 7 in that spot. I think 10 might be a little bit aggressive, so maybe you go team total angle on that. But that's all I got for you on that game. We'll keep tabs on the score as we go. As for the rest of the day, though, let's set the table for everything else that is to come, like we always do, to kick off the show. Time for the rundown.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is the Rundown.
We love a good overreaction Monday on this program. Or is it a proper reaction? We got Call Me Crazy But coming up a little bit later with some of our biggest takeaways and thoughts coming out of the weekend.
I will say that there's a lot of football here, but there is one aspect that we have to hit on, and we didn't get to it. I had a Call Me Crazy for this, I think, last week, and we didn't have time for it. The betting market is completely missing the boat on this 14-1 long shot, mid-range shot, whatever it is. Shouldn't be 14-1. One could argue it should be the favorite in this market. We'll tell you what it is.
See, we both have an awards take, and mine is not a secretive one at all. But there is one award specifically in the NFL that I think we have the wrong favorite being odds on in this spot. Speaking of lines and those that are on the move, do you approve this move? Looking ahead to Week 18 in the NFL, we have lots of movement, especially when you consider the varying motivations for teams who are in and out of the playoff picture and lines we at least I expect to continue to be on the move, depending on what a handful of head coaches do with their personnel decisions for the games.
Pretty much a preseason week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this week it's going to be all about information, who's playing, if they're deciding what to do with these certain situations. Will you pursue a victory in a contest in which pretty much your destiny is out of your hands? There's a lot that goes into these games this week. Week 18 is actually a ton of fun. I love the last week of the regular season in the NFL, and hopefully we can kind of sniff out some of the spots to go against some of the market reactions here, because we see it a lot. And in fact, I'll give you one example from last week. Baltimore wins on Saturday. Pittsburgh's got to win against Cleveland. They got to clinch. Come on, you got to keep this up. What are we going to do? We're going to bump that line up by a point and a half. What happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday?
It did not go well for them against the Cleveland Browns.
Can't wait to talk about it.
Which we will hear from Mike Tomlin, among some other coaches, on their thoughts as well for how things transpired yesterday. But we still have one game to be played before we look too far ahead to Week 18. We got to wrap up Week 17, put a bow on it with the Rams and Falcons going head-to-head tonight at Mercedes-Benz. The Rams, a 7.5 point favorite, depending on where you look. Total here, 49.5. Atlanta eliminated from postseason contention, but they have won back-to-back games. The Rams, meanwhile, just playing for seeding at this point, looking to bounce back from the heartbreaker craziness of last week and the 1-point overtime loss to the Seattle Seahawks. The 2-point conversion heard around the world, one of the weirdest ones we've ever seen. Wins this week and next week for the Los Angeles Rams would clinch the NFC 5 seed. A win today would also better their draft position, because fun fact about the Los Angeles Rams, they actually own the Falcons draft pick for 2026 in the first round.
You're going to bury the other aspect of this?
What's the other aspect?
The importance of this for the Atlanta Falcons?
Okay, so
it doesn't matter for the Atlanta Falcons, but you're the NFC South truther, so go ahead.
Another fun fact about the Atlanta Falcons today: should they win this game and their regular season finale, we could be in position to have a 3-way tie for first place in the NFC South, which means even if the Carolina Panthers were to lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Saturday, the Panthers would still have the upper hand in the tiebreakers and win the division. So
Correct.
The Falcons could be at play here for the NFC South.
Yes. The stupidest division we've seen in a very long time.
If the Bucs win this thing, they're going to be a sub-500 division winner.
Of course.
It's ridiculous.
Well, it's reminiscent of that NFC West where I believe the Rams won it at 7-9, or no, excuse me, the Seahawks won it at 7-9. Do I remember that correctly? And then they went on to win a playoff game. So I believe that was the Marshawn Lynch Beastquake team as well. Either way, look, today it's a game that doesn't really have that much to it. Interestingly enough, though, heading in one direction, maybe because the Rams really have nothing to play for at this point. They've been boxed out in the NFC West. They've been boxed out for a top seed in the NFC as a whole. And so really all Los Angeles is playing for here in the next couple of weeks, like you said, maybe some motivation in the front office to win and get a better draft pick here if that's the case. But, okay, I mean, I think the ultimate motivation for LA would be you do want to be the 4 seed. Or excuse me, the 5 seed. Yes, because you want to play the 4 seed. No offense to your Panthers, but whatever crawls out of...
Panthers beat the Rams already, baby.
It's a good point. But whatever, you want to play whatever crawls out of the NFC South.
That is the most coveted position, I think. If you are not the 1 seed in the NFC, you want to be the 5 because you get to play the winner of the NFC South, which is just abysmal at this point. How many games have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost coming into this final Week 18 game? And then the Carolina Panthers can't be trusted as far as you can throw them. Yep. And it's every other week they're a different team.
And it's been one-way traffic. I mean, so some spots we opened at 8, down to 7.5, down to 7, and even the spots that are sitting at like 7.5 right now, for example, Circa, heavily shaded to the dog side at the 7.5. Some of those 7s that are out there at 7 minus 110. So it seems like the Falcons are getting a majority of the support as we creep closer to kickoff. And I think I can understand it to an extent. I think the Rams are a team that are very good and obviously the best team in the NFL right now. But watching the way these games are playing out, kind of a low bar when you're talking about being the best team in the NFL at this point. And the Rams have their own issues. We saw the secondary have some really big issues against Seattle the last time we saw them. A penchant for giving up some explosive plays as well. And Kirk Cousins, his last 2 games, you can quibble with the competition, Tampa Bay and Arizona. Cousins has played really well over the last 2 games and maybe getting more comfortable in this offense as it goes.
And to your point, so that combination of Kirk Cousins and the offense kind of finding their footing, the Rams defense struggling the last 4 weeks, I do think with the pressure that they can bring, maybe they can get Kirk Cousins off his spot a little bit in this, but generally speaking, the way that the offense is operated more smoothly, Drake London was on a pitch count last week. Should you imagine, he's still technically questionable, but you would imagine get a little bit more of the normal compliment we're accustomed to seeing from him. Kyle Pitts all of a sudden is showing up. Bijan Robinson is great. So I understand the support, certainly. My only question would be Matthew Stafford, odds on still, but in the race for MVP. And I'm sure that Sean McVay would like to scheme him up to be in position to rack up some yards and do some good things here. And that offense has been humming lately as well.
Yeah, you do wonder if that's going to be part of it. I mean, very clearly yesterday, Mike Vrabel was trying to get
That's exactly where my mind was going.
Drake May the MVP by letting him sling it around in the game they were up by as much as they were. And I do wonder if maybe this is a little bit more of a veteran group. They've been to a Super Bowl before, at least a good core of this team has. Do they really care about that, or is it more about just winning this game and trying to get the best seeding possible so they can play the NFC South? And we'll talk more about this from a player prop standpoint, but you're right. I think one of the interesting aspects of this, Drake London on only 53 snaps a week ago still had 8 targets from Kirk Cousins, the second most or tied for second most. So what that looks like if he's going to be back in action a little bit more and more comfortable from a player prop standpoint is going to be pretty interesting against a leaky secondary that's had its issues.
And we will dive deeper into the prop market on this game a little bit later on. Of course, Davante Adams also expected to be out here for the Los Angeles Rams, although last week we were asking the question, who's the beneficiary outside of Puka Nacua going to be with Davante Adams out? Yep. Why even ask who else it would be? Because Puka Nacua went scorched freaking earth, had over, 12 catches on 16 targets, 200-some yards, 2 touchdowns. So, okay, so that'll be a fun exercise that we'll get into a little bit later on in the program. But that said, you hear the music. We're just getting started here on Money Moves. So much more to come over the course of the next 2 hours. When we return, we'll tell you why odds makers can't seem to make totals high enough for 49ers games right now. We've got an insane stat to share about the Steelers and lots of sound coming off of the podium post game yesterday as well. Stay with us right here on Money Moves.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're about to kick off the new year, and you can start 2026 is better with a VSiN Pro subscription. This is the final week to save 50% off the regular monthly price here at VSiN with our holiday special. Sign up now. You get VSiN Pro access to everything through May 1st, just $79. That gives you the daily best bets from all of our show hosts and guests, real-time bet splits from DraftKings and Circa, AI-powered prop tools, 24/7 video on the VSiN Watch app, covering everything from the college football playoff, the NFL postseason, March Madness, and the Masters will be here before you know it. We've got it all covered. VSiN.com/subscribe is how you can come join us. Start the new year with a new edge at VSIN.com/subscribe. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. And if you didn't stay up late last night, you missed a banger out there between the 49ers and Bears. And I also hope you had the over 42-38, your final score in this one, as San Francisco ends up pulling out the win. After not being able to get a stop what felt like all freaking game, they get one in the most important moment against Caleb Williams on that final play.
Yes, they do. And, I think you come out of this, it's one of those rare instances where do you feel generally okay about both teams? I mean, defensively, I think we both know these teams were going to have their issues, but it's almost one of those you are who we thought they were type games. The Bears come in, they rack up 440 total yards, 6.9 yards per play. The rushing attack, 5 yards per rush. Shockingly enough, I think for many people, the passing attack looked pretty good against the San Francisco 49ers. The Bears kind of showing the ability that this offense might be legitimate, picking on a defense that, yes, is thin, but the fact that you can do that, I think, is a pretty good positive. And for San Francisco, you and I have talked about this a lot. They are your team, but we've talked about this team as one of those just kind of waiting in the weeds, slowly getting healthier. This offense is the offense that we've known under Shanahan for a really long time, and it's starting to get healthy. And the fact that you're still missing pieces, and we're able to do that, able to rack up nearly 500 total yards, able to average over 7 yards per play, and get a win I mean, I came away pretty impressed with both of these offenses, man. It's incredible.
100%. And I'm curious once we get to the postseason, we talk about how things tighten up and, you play harder defense and all of that stuff. I'm not sure I really see that from these two teams. Most notably, though, the San Francisco 49ers, the way they really struggle to get to the passer, they really struggle to defend the run. Like, it's a lot of things that they've been having issues with. So for me, I feel like I don't know if odds makers can really set totals high enough, because every time we're taking over money and it seems to soar over more often than not. It feels eerily similar to how we were approaching the Dallas Cowboys midway through the season when their defense was as bad as it was, but the offense would you have to win in a shootout. And I feel like that's the way that it is with the 49ers right now, who, by the way, improved to 6-0 since Brock Purdy has come back from the turf toe injury, and they are averaging an NFL best 35.7 points per game with him back.
Yeah, and to that point, I think you zoom out a little bit for San Francisco. They're offensively, they're going to be great. But even go back to last week against the Indianapolis Colts, where Old Man Rivers, that opening drive and in the first half, was kind of picking them apart, finding wide open guys, moving the Colts up and down the field. That performance does look a lot different now, especially after watching him struggle against Jacksonville. I mean, you and I sat here, watched Phillip Rivers yesterday, just duck after duck, getting picked off, throwing dropped interceptions. The offense really looked disjointed. And the fact that San Francisco, for 2.5 quarters, made him look very competent, and then you get this as well. There's a clear weakness here for the San Francisco 49ers, but I think their offense is good enough more times than not to overcome it, especially, Stormy, if they're going to be able to play at home all the way through should they continue to win this. And, of course, that leads you to what next week is going to be.
Yeah, and that is going to say that sets it up nicely for a winner-take-all game on Saturday night against the Seattle Seahawks in Santa Clara, which we've seen, and we'll get to do you approve this move a little bit later on, but that line kind of ticking back and forth between who's the favorite. Right now it is the Seattle Seahawks as a 1-point favorite on the road.
This is going to be the ultimate litmus test for your team, though. I mean, we watched Seattle yesterday average 4.4 yards per play, total 288 yards in a game against the Carolina Panthers, and use their defense to set up short fields to mercifully get some touchdowns to pull away from Carolina in that second half. This offense has been awful for how are we talking about here? 6 weeks now? Yeah. Whatever it's been for Seattle. If they go out there on Saturday night and start picking apart this 49ers defense, I mean, that's going to be a really big test, because this team has had almost no life for over a month on offense.
Yeah, we'll see what it looks like. This is also, of course, the second of the two games in the division. It's a bookend. They started the regular season against the Seattle Seahawks, and now they will close the season against them, too. And even that game was another one that came down to the wire and really, final plays of that game where we thought Brock Purdy actually got intercepted in the end zone, but it was a Jake Tonjes touchdown. It was a whole thing. So it should be a fun one come Saturday night. The other game Saturday is, of course, in the NFC South, which we talked about a little bit earlier with the Bucs and Panthers. And what is that ultimately going to look like? Who knows? Who knows? I
mean, God bless you if you watch this division a ton. Tampa Bay continues to just fall apart. And I know that we've kind of come a little bit farther from where Tampa's been rated. They're still being considered better than Carolina. Even if the gap has shrunk since they last played, but even then, we're still, with all this mounting evidence of this team's struggles, watching Quinn Ewers pick them apart.
Everybody keeps telling me it's still Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, and they're going to beat everybody.
No, I don't think everybody tells you that. That was a little fanny there.
A little bit. That said,
everybody was against us.
Baker Mayfield did have this to say on the mentality of him and his squad heading into Week 18.
This is our last chance, and it's blatantly obvious. There's no more regular season games on the schedule. We have this one back at home, and comes down to execution. X's and O's. It felt like we had a good plan going into it, and players have to deliver. When you know a division opponent as well as we know the Panthers and they know us, it's truly about executing your job to the best of your ability each play, and that's plain and simple. At this point in the season, there might be a couple wrinkles here and there with the game plan, but what you see is what you get when you play a divisional opponent. So it's about executing, beating the guy across from you, and finding a way to win. It's
actually fitting. I just played you the clip from Dodgeball. I know you. You know you. You know that I know you. right? I mean, that's exactly what we're talking
and
about.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
That too. I don't know how, even with the difference between the power rating when they were taking each other on, what did the number close in Carolina? 3, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. So we know that, again, there's been an adjustment. Not only is this moved to the other side, we're now under that 3 at a couple of spots. We're clearly heading to the point where, yes, the market is starting to consider these two equal to each other. Finally, mercifully, it's finally getting there. But is it enough? Is Carolina better than Tampa Bay?
I'd be worried if I was the Bucs, just because Carolina seems to win every other week.
Sure.
And they were down this past week to Seattle. Inevitably, got to bounce back. They did win the first meeting 23-20, although it looked bleak there for a moment. We'll see how this all plays out come Saturday. I want to make sure, and we have a lot still to unpack from Week 17, but I want to make sure here we also talk about what the hell happened with the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday, because you mentioned it off the top. Just because you should win or you're supposed to win or you need to win to seal up a division doesn't mean you're going to. And that's what happened with the Steelers yesterday.
Yep, 13-6, the final score. Pretty poor performance, less than 300 total yards, less than 5 yards per play. On a per-play basis, they were actually outgained by Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. I mean, look, this is clearly a very flawed team in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think we've seen this now throughout the year. You're not floating around 500 with a division on a line with a team that has been absolutely awful with quarterback injuries and an absolute mess at the most important position, and still needing to fight that out for a division on the final week of the season if you're not a flawed team. I would think they're good enough to maybe get this done. They did beat the Ravens in Baltimore, but I mean, what are we expecting here at this point, given the inconsistency? I don't know how you would think or feel any confident in this side at this point, given how fickle this offense has been on a week-to-week basis.
Let's hear from Mike Tomlin after the game on his thoughts about how it all played out yesterday.
I didn't think we played poorly. We just didn't make enough plays. I thought they played well. I thought the game was kind of unfolding in the way that you would anticipate, but we never made that signature play that kind of got us over the hump. That generally is the deciding factor in games like this, and we generally make them. We didn't make them today.
Mike, what kept you from making those plays, especially offensively?
You know, they had a lot to do with it. They made some plays, and I'm never one not to compliment worthy opponents, man, and certainly they made plays today.
Got a little overzealous. Go ahead.
Sorry, we definitely needed to hear that they made plays 2 different times. I apologize. I mean, I thought you saw a reversion back to what we've kind of seen. Yeah. So we go back to the Baltimore game where we came out of that. It was the day before we were talking about the stat where they hadn't completed passes downfield. They go into that game. They start taking shots. They complete a bunch of them. They end up getting that win. But again, yesterday, averaged up the target for Aaron Rodgers, drops to like 6 yards downfield. He gets pressured a little bit. They're throwing bubble screens and doing all these sort of things. He gets hit a bit, but not sacked a ton. I just think that we goes back to what this offense has been throughout this entire year. The passing attack has not been explosive. You're really relying on guys to get out there and yards after catch. And is it looming large, the fact that, again, you don't have DK Metcalf? I mean, that might be a big deal.
And there were other wide receiver injuries as well, and another one that transpired during the game. So I think that all, gives you a little bit more context for the performance. But because I know you love the air yard stat, the 6 points in Sunday's loss were their fewest in a game this season. Rodgers averaged 3.5 air yards on his completions in the loss, going 4 of 15 on passes of more than 5 air yards. Averaged an NFL low and career low, 3.7 air yards on his completions this season. Yeesh. Okay, we got to step aside here. So much more still to unpack from Week 17 and beyond as we roll along here on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We talk all the time about making smarter, more informed bets here on the program. Smart advertisers are doing the same thing with Mission Media. If you want real results, Mission Media connects your brand with audiences that really engage, from premium podcasts and connected TV to data-driven digital campaigns. They deliver measurable ROI, and as VSiN's exclusive ad partner, Mission Media gives you direct access to one of the most loyal, action-oriented sports audiences anywhere. Your brand deserves more than impressions. It deserves influence. Get started today at vsin.com/advertise, or you can email advertising@vsin.com. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. As we continue to unpack everything that transpired this Week 17, there was one stat that I wanted to make sure we got out there just because I was fascinated by this. It was a tweet from Doug Clawson that we were tagged in. The Steelers are winless their last 5 games against teams who entered the game 8+ games under 500, tying the longest such streak in NFL history. So teams that are essentially really bad, if they're really bad, they can't seem to win against them.
So 8 games under 500.
Yes.
They're what now? What's the record? Or what's they've lost rate?
0-4-1. They have not won their past 5 instances. Wow. Facing teams in that situation. Obviously, the Browns yesterday, who are 3-12. In 2023, it was the 2-10 Patriots and the 2-10 Cardinals. Yeah. In 2021, an 0-8 Lions team, and in 2020, a 2-10-1 Bengals team.
Going back to what we've talked about a lot when it comes to this team and with Mike Tomlin, that is where you start the case, where it's, hey, let's move on. He has a talent for getting the most out of a team, one would say. But you do fail in a lot of different instances, and this is one of those.
The games you should absolutely win.
Correct. That is a game last night where I don't think you need to preface it with, you can make the case. That is a you can't lose this game type of game yesterday. You have everything in front of you. Lamar Jackson has missed numerous contests. The Ravens are hanging on by a thread. John Harbaugh, there's people lining up outside. I don't know if it's actually true, but lining up outside with pitchforks and torches, trying to get John Harbaugh fired. And yet, still, you can't beat Cleveland, and now it all comes down to Saturday night. Or Sunday night, excuse me.
If you remember,
it should be Saturday night.
The Steelers were, that's a whole other conversation. Why did they pick that?
I'm so tired. I saw about it's the AFC North rivalry. Nobody cares about it anymore. I'm sorry. It's dumb.
And quite frankly, they're not good teams this year. Neither one of them.
That's the other part. We could get a very high-level game on Sunday night.
Did you see the SVP clip on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt? So he was in real time getting in his ear what the ESPN ABC doubleheader was going to be on Saturday. He goes, "We're going to get the game for the NFC South, Bucks, Panthers, and Seahawks, 49ers. We're getting both of them. We're getting both of them." Okay. He couldn't even believe it that those were the two that they were getting on Saturday. That said, where I was going with this, if you remember, the Steelers were minus 1,400 favorites in the division a week ago because of the situation that they had put themselves in. You could still get the Ravens at 8-1 to win the division. Now, because they're favored in this spot coming up next Saturday, it's a minus 180, minus 150? Mm-hmm. Yeah, minus 180 price for them now. And the Steelers are a dog again after you were minus 1,400 to win the division. It's just, anyways, remarkable.
We'll get to do you approve this move, but not only underdogs, but the market moving in the favor of Baltimore. Correct. A lot of spots have added the hook on that 3.
Sheesh. Okay. Another game that I wanted to make sure that we hit on was the way that Eagles-Bills went, because it is another game where Jalen Hurts does not have a single completion in the second half, and they win said game. How does that happen?
I mean, I don't want to ruin my whole call me crazy, but
I didn't realize you had one about this.
No. It's just it's the theme of this, which is you have so many of these teams that defensively are so good that they're keeping their moribund offenses afloat, and they still look like legitimate contenders in a lot of these spots. And I think that was it. I mean, they sat on the chest of the Buffalo Bills for about 3 quarters. And then Buffalo finally kind of gets it done. They figure out what they want to do. And you allow an offense which has been really average, below average for so long, all season, to still be in a position to potentially win this game. I think it's easy to say how they did it. It's this defense. And again, the defense looks like it is a caliber akin to the one that won them a Super Bowl a year ago. Yeah. But the offense is so much worse.
But is that enough?
Yes, and that's, I think, the real question.
Per True Media Sports, there have been 10 games this year where a team had fewer than 5 passing yards and a half. The Eagles have 3 of them, and they are 3-0 in those games. Yep. Just fascinating to think about when all is said and done. Meanwhile, what did that make you think about the Buffalo Bills coming out of that game?
I mean, I think it was, I'll look up who it was. I think it was Fates who covers them that we've had on a couple of times. But he tweeted out something along the lines of, I know what this Bills defense is. I don't know what this Bills offense is. And I think that's a really good point. We have seen Buffalo at times. We go back to about 10 days ago, a little less. I don't know what the exact number is. That second half that you and I watched where they're just moving up and down the field against New England, just picking them apart, doing whatever they want, coming back in that game and beating them. We have seen a high-level offense time and again. But then we've also seen these weird, disjointed offensive performances. The Miami game, this game, where you have no idea what the strategy is, what they're trying to do. And even then, still, I mean, you're a 2-point conversion away from potentially winning the game. But I think that's it. I mean, this offense, It doesn't even look like it knows what it wants to do. I also think we should note that I don't know if Josh Allen's fully healthy. Every time the camera cuts to him, he's limping off the field. He's doing something, whatever that foot, ankle, whatever is going on down there. He doesn't seem like he's got the same pop, and I think that's probably part of what we're seeing here too.
I know the X-rays on the foot supposedly came back negative, but you have to imagine, given their situation, that he's not going to play this coming week, right? And I think at least the odds movement for that game, and we're, like I said, do you approve this move next segment where we can discuss that. But you have to imagine the movement that we've seen so far is at least primarily based in his absence, in addition to what Sean McDermott might do in general with the roster.
Yeah, because you're playing for seeding. What does it matter? Why is it worth moving up? There is no, again, no offense, and especially play this back when they win the playoff game. There is no NFC South. Here, where you're going, I want that team. I mean, maybe you make the argument it's one of these AFC North teams. You did beat the crap out of Pittsburgh when you played them. You did beat Baltimore in week 1 when they were a much better team. So maybe there's something to that, but why is that worth putting Josh Allen out there? That
said, I don't know if the foot injury is what made him miss that throw at the end of the game either. Because how uncharacteristic was that in your mind when you see Khalil Shakir wide open in the back end of the end zone? Josh Allen has a perfect line on it and just misses.
Yeah. I mean, he was kind of under pressure, but
sure, I mean,
wasn't that bad.
He was rolling out.
Yeah, he was. To your point, though, like it wasn't like he was in the grasp of a defender or anything. He's feeling pressure. Usually you can kind of just put enough on there to get it done, but I think it goes back to what we're talking about. If you're not as comfortable in your lower half with whatever it is, and you can't put what you need on a throw that's potentially going to win the game, maybe that's a symptom of what we're talking about him dealing with at this point right now. By the way, it's the right decision.
But we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that. Come on. That's a good tease for later, too. There's too much teasing happening right now. Although, one thing I am still annoyed at is my teaser, and yours as well, that involved the Tennessee Titans not getting home yesterday. Well, that's vomit-inducing. They were up all freaking game.
Yeah. That depends on where you got it, too. So I had a teaser that got home. It was the Texans and the...
8. So this is why I'm annoyed. I have Titans and the Rams. So now the best I can get is a push on that teaser because of that.
So the Titans one to put in last week, the early part of the week, that gets home because it was 8.5. So you get in just barely. But yesterday I added a Titans and Rams teaser. Line closes pick. Got the best of it. And yet, because they blow that game yesterday.
They're up all game.
Yep. That was tough.
Brutal. And so I know we're going to talk more about Monday Night Football a little bit later on, but we already brought up, at least briefly, the discussion of Matthew Stafford in the MVP conversation market. He's minus 230. Meanwhile, Drake May on the other side, he was doing work yesterday. And as we were watching the game, even though it's against an absolutely god-awful New York Jets team, he's still pumping up the stats, and we see those awards markets fluctuate to where Stafford's minus 230. That number came down, like 30 cents? Drake May now available plus 180 in the MVP market.
Yep. I mean, come on now. You said it. And finally, we're starting to see some, like, I know that there were some that had tweeted, like, Drake May's the MVP. You got to stop. We understand who they're playing at this point right now. The Jets secondary that has yet to record an interception on the season.
That's a stat. I gave you the Steelers stat. That's the real great stat.
I mean, that's the next week. We've already looked at history because, again, we're talking about the length of normally what has been a 17-week season in the National Football League. So this is a record. And so now we're going to go into next week to see if they can continue that. But Drake May's very good. Stafford is an MVP. And so we'll see today if he picks apart the Falcons. I'm sure we'll get back up to like minus 400, whatever it is. But if that poll that we had last week was accurate, that Tom Pelissero revealed with the GMs and executives, it was 18-5 in favor of Stafford, and May was 1 vote ahead of Josh Allen. I don't think that's a gap that you're going to overcome because you beat up on the worst secondary in the NFL.
That said, with the win and the Buffalo Bills loss, that AFC East is theirs. They clinched it. It is all New England Patriots, which is such a bummer for one of my futures tickets. I had Bills 1, Patriots 2 as that exact order in the division, and so I was still holding on hope for that bad boy.
You pointed out to me yesterday, I had forgotten about this. We're still alive for our 49ers 1 seed.
Unreal.
650. Let's do this.
If I told you Brock Purdy's missing half the season, you don't have Fred Warner, you don't have Nick Bosa, you're not going to have the wide receiver room most of the year, George Kittle's going to miss 6 games. Yet we're live for the 1 seed in Week 18. Let's freaking go, baby. Okay, we have teased. Do you approve this move enough? It's finally coming up next.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Football meets flavor with VSiN and Omaha Steaks, the official sponsor of tailgating. And right now, when you spend $129, you can score 2 pounds of fully cooked chicken wings plus 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com/VSiN. That's omahasteaks.com/VSIN. Don't wait. Spend $129. You get 2 pounds of wings. Save 50% off site-wide on steaks and more. Minimum purchase required. See site for details at omahasteaks.com/VSIN.
Odds move up, odds move down. Let's see where the odds are moving today and do you approve this move?
All right, let's get into it. Looking ahead to the Week 18 lines in the NFL. Obviously, differing motivations for a handful of teams we're going to discuss here. But one of the big ones coming up on Saturday, the Seahawks and 49ers going head-to-head. JVT, we've seen this line move, albeit in short, minor tweaks, back and forth between who is favored between the Seahawks and 49ers. Earlier this morning, San Francisco was a 1.5-point favorite. Seattle opened a 1.5-point favorite and is currently a slight 1-point favorite.
Yeah, I am, I think that your team is not as good as Seattle from a power rating standpoint. So that puts you probably right at the very least at Seattle -1. Mm-hmm. And I think it makes sense that we should probably be in this range of like 1.5 in favor of Seattle. So having said that, I wouldn't approve it. When it started to go to San Francisco's way, I think we're kind of back where we should be here. Having said that, going back to what we talked about, man, can this Seattle Seahawks offense actually move the effing football here?
I think they can.
That's going to be
so annoying.
Yes.
And I think they can. Winner take all in the NFC West. For the 1 seed, loser, meanwhile, will drop to 5th or maybe even 6th in the wild card in the NFC. Both teams entering the game Saturday on 6-game win streaks. Chiefs-Raiders, not quite the same implications, but Kansas City getting played here out from 4.5 to 5.5-point favorites. The Raiders have dropped 10 straight games, just got torched at home by the Giants yesterday, putting them in line, though, to secure this year's #1 overall pick. Chiefs, meanwhile, dropped 5 straight, but give them credit, despite all the injuries and a third-string quarterback, still were tied late against the Broncos the other day.
Yeah, taking 3 with the Raiders didn't really work out for me yesterday, did it?
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, I'll say it. Yeah, this is, I think you have to approve this, right? The Raiders do not want to win these games.
No.
Maybe I should go to this one.
I told you. Did I not say that the other day? If you miss out on Giants-Raiders, at least you know you have Chiefs-Raiders.
That was incredible yesterday.
Up. Unbelievable. I'm so glad you didn't go.
Me too.
Like, it wasn't even... Because if you wanted it to be historically bad, if that were to be the case on both ends, not a blowout one way or the other.
For our audience who can watch here, the reason why is because I bought a Pokemon card from the box here at Circa. I blew my funds on an Umbreon card that ultimately is not worth that much.
Which you lost $10 on the purchase. That lucky box, it's either very, very lucky or you lose $10 is what I've gathered.
Ask me if I stop staring at it when I come in now. I have not.
Okay, Lions-Bears, excuse me. Where's the Tigers? Oh, my. Lions were the #1 seed this time a season ago, officially eliminated from the postseason this time around. Bears go from worst to first in the division. Meanwhile, and are being bet out from 1.5 to 2.5-point favorites. A win would also cement Chicago as the 2 seed in the NFC. A loss risks them falling to 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, too, because then you have Philadelphia, who's essentially in the same spot. Like, will they care?
Yeah.
They're just playing for seeding. I mean, you're going to be stuck in that 2-3 range. Does it make that big of a difference? I would say no, I think, at this point right now. But this is the one where you have to listen to the information, listen to these teams. I guess I would generally say yes, given what's kind of at stake. And also, given the status of the Lions. I mean, I know that they'll probably play for pride, considering who's their head coach. But that team is flawed beyond all measure.
I kind of lean over in that game as well. Similar conversation that we had about the 49ers earlier, just the way that the offense is performing and the way that the defense is performing. Total is 50.5, but that's just at least an initial first blush thing. Maybe Chicago wants a little redemption from the Week 2 loss when they got kind of embarrassed by Detroit. I don't know. One other thing to keep tabs on, by the way, for this game. While I know most of the Bears' success has been on the ground this year, we just saw Caleb Williams put up 330 yesterday against the 49ers. He is 270 yards away from becoming the first Bears quarterback with a 4,000-yard season. You remember that was his goal at the beginning of the year. All of that stuff blew up. We've seen 3 of the last 5 quarterbacks the Lions defense has faced, not named Max Brosmer, have really, really good productive days, like 330 plus yards.
I'm willing to bet as part of an incentive segment somewhere. We'll probably hear that, and let's bet his overs, huh?
Maybe. Bills and Jets.
I'm not accusing you. I'm just saying.
So this game, Buffalo gone down from 14.5-point favorites at open now to 8.5. We were just having the conversation about what might this mean for Josh Allen, who at the end of the game yesterday seemed to re-aggravate that foot injury. Jets have been a disaster. What do you think about this number?
I mean, I would assume that we're going to get news at some point soon that it's not Buffalo, or excuse me, that it's not Josh Allen, correct?
It just seems that way.
It has to be confirmed.
And I would expect anybody who's dealing with anything probably not going to play. You don't need it that much.
I mean,
we're going to get a great battle of Mitch Trubisky and Brady Cook here.
I mean, I think that's the other part about this is even if you're Buffalo and you think that maximizing your seed is going to matter in whoever you face. Mm-hmm. Against the Jets, you're probably still in pretty good position with Trubisky getting the start for you.
I think so.
So you can give Josh Allen his rest while also trying to achieve your goals here if you're the Buffalo Bills.
Also, for the record, in terms of those goals, they can still make a run at the 5 seed in the AFC, but they need help from elsewhere as well. They need to win this game and have the Texans lose to Indy, and considering that's a double-digit spread, I don't really think there's, no offense, I don't really think that there would be a need to risk.
You don't think Riley Leonard is going to be able to lead the Indianapolis Colts to victory?
Also of note, Breece Hall said post-game he's fine, but he did leave yesterday's game with a knee injury. He's been kind of the lone bright spot for this Jets offense, so something to monitor as well as we get going down that way. Meanwhile, Sunday Night Football, Ravens and Steelers. You mentioned it earlier. Baltimore getting a little bit of love here, out from the 3 to 3.5-point road favorites in Pittsburgh. John Harbaugh, just a little bit ago on the podium, said if Lamar's ready to go, he's playing, but also added the caveat, we'll know more by Wednesday.
I mean, the market clearly thinks he's going to play. I mean, if he's not playing, there's no way they're going off as a 3.5-point favorite on the road in a game with the division on the line.
Although, you know what? Your good buddy, John Murray, VP at Westgate, I was reading an article from ESPN this morning, and he is quoted being asked about this spread. He said, we don't feel there's much of a difference between Huntley and this version of Lamar Jackson. The Ravens offense looked as good as ever on Saturday. Huntley knows the offense well, and Lamar hasn't been right all year. Don't see much of a difference.
That's probably, that is a true statement. That's probably what he and maybe the guys at the Superbook feel. The market's another thing, though, right?
Sure.
I mean, the betting market could think that there is a difference here. And it's not that I think this would flip.
I bring that up just because I ask if we should expect more movement.
I would assume that we get under 3 if Lamar's not going to play. I don't know if the Steelers go off as like a 3-point favorite, but I don't think the Ravens, I'll go out there tentatively and say the Ravens are not laying 3 or a key number on the road without Lamar.
Neither of these teams have been reliable, have been good bets. I get Derrick Henry was activated and everybody's all excited, but Steelers also had a much better run defense the last couple weeks. So I don't know if there's anything to that. I mean, Derrick he ran all over them in the first meeting, and I think they had over 200 yards total on the ground against the Steelers that first meeting. But their run defense has been much better. They are awake now because this is for all the marbles. I think we'll have a pretty competitive game. So we'll see what it shakes out and looks like. Meanwhile, the team that Pittsburgh just lost to in the Browns, they're hosting the Cincinnati Bengals, and we're seeing Cincinnati get played out here from 6.5 to 7.5-point favorites. Bengals riding high right now. Took all the money yesterday against Arizona. It was the right side.
Yep, they're hot. So go ahead, I guess. I mean, what is it all worth? Nothing, but sure. I think that makes sense.
The defense even played well.
Yeah.
So I agree with the movement. Nothing that I'm interested in, though. Commanders and Eagles, you brought this up in the context of another game earlier, but Philly down from 10.5-point favorites to 8. If the Bears would have won yesterday, the Eagles would have no reason to play their starters, but since they lost, Philly's still in play for the 2 seed.
Yeah, I mean, what is that worth? The lowest they'll fall is 3. Where they're at, the highest they'll go is 2. You're not going to know who your opponent's going to be. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how they'll handle this as we move closer to game time. Makes some sense that the market would cut it down here a little bit just because there's a chance that even if they do play their guys, give them a half, give them a quarter. We don't know exactly what they're going to try to do here.
On the Commander side, Jaden Daniels shut down for the year. Marcus Mariota dealing with injuries. Do we see Josh Johnson again? So we got to await that information as well. Cardinals and Rams, Los Angeles down from 14.5 to 9.5-point favorites. Could potentially see a little more movement depending on the result from tonight's game on Monday night against the Falcons. And then the Titans and Jags, Jacksonville up from 10.5-point favorites out to 12.5. Some total movement on both of those games as well. Same numbers, up from 45.5 to 47.5.
Yeah, I mean, and the Rams too. I mean, you look at what they have in stake. if they win out, they could be the 5 seed and take on the NFC North, or excuse me, NFC South team. So could be worth it.
For the Jags, meanwhile, it's winning the AFC South is yours, right?
Well, win the AFC South is yours. Win and get losses from the Broncos and the Patriots, and the 1 seed is yours still.
Okay.
So the 1 seed is still technically up for grabs for Jacksonville.
Okay. Look at them go. I did not believe in Trevor Lawrence at all coming into this year. They didn't
play well yesterday.
That was one of the, But we got the cover.
I know. I told
Let's
you.
freaking go.
You got your late field goal.
Did not see that coming, but I was very relieved.
You left very angry.
I did. I said some expletives on the way walking out the door yesterday.
Might have been the Malort that I made you try.
Ooh, let's discuss that, actually. That and some Monday Night Football props when we return on Money Moves.